it was more humbling to actually receive it and to hang it on my wall.
Have you
Um,
got it there?
I do, I
Look at
do. I
this.
don't know how it's going to work on the camera, but
Look at that.
yeah.
I wanna live me some more. Can't leave it up to him. He's knocking at my door.
Amazing, Richard. Well, thank you. Look, thank you for being here. And I'm guessing you're in America. From
Yes,
from the flag. Whereabouts in the States are you?
in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Amazing. Um, well, I guess let's start it with this. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit, and tell me a little bit about your history in piano?
So my name is Rich Sherb, and my history. Well, again, I live in Myrtle Beach, right? So my history in piano. My grandparents always had a piano, and I could play "Take Me Home, Country Roads" one key at a time as a kid, right? Just like fiddling around with it. Just oh, that sounds like the song, Mom. Listen. So my dad was a musician, and but they were split up, divorced, but he was a musician. He traveled a lot, and mom didn't want us to be the rock and roll kind of people. So, um, never really got into it, but always visited my dad, and he always had his keyboard set up down below. There was three brothers. We went downstairs all the time, and we would play and we would sing, and my brothers played guitar. So it was just always good. Well, he passed away in 2018, and I inherited all of his equipment, which I have upgraded from older Korgs and such to what I have today. A couple, I think 5 different keyboards, and so anyway, but I started playing with it, and I thought, I need to take this further. So I've been working on it as much as I can since 2018, just trying to get it perfected. And that's my problem is I'm a perfectionist, so nothing is ever good enough for me.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. I think the greatest men in history were. Um, well, let me ask you this then, Rich. What is it that brought you to Ridley Academy?
The honest truth is there was an insanely hyper young man on a piano that came up in an ad, and he was talking about learn piano. Quick, easy, broke it down, different process, and I'd been through the process. I know some of, if not most of, theory, music theory, right? Reading site notes, no, I wasn't quite there yet. I knew where FACE and all that stuff, but I wasn't quite there. So I took the leap. I said, you know what? This is something different. I've seen your videos. I know you can play. So obviously um, you're not fake. so, um, so I did. So I took the leap of faith and I signed up and went in and got all the videos. I started from scratch, just like you recommend, start from scratch, go through them all. So I did. I sat with my keyboard and I bonded with my keyboard, and I can't take it apart because that would be dangerous. But um, through all the videos, that's just that. That's been my journey plus then some with Ridley Academy.
And then what took you into the mentorship from that? Because I'm guessing it was a piano masterclass first.
It was piano masterclass first, went to mentorship, and what brought me there was the one-on-one.
Mm.
The ability, the accessibility of a coach. Your videos are great, right? But if you have a question, you're like, wait a minute, I don't get that, right?
Right.
So having the accessibility of a coach to be able to interact with one-on-one, or now, there's a class. When I first started, it was only one, Carlos and I. So
Right.
having the ability to interact with each other, ask questions, bounce things off, and then the weekly coaching, or whenever. Actually, it's not weekly. Whenever you want to send a video and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" and get feedback from somebody who's actually been playing keys and piano for um, 30 plus years. Plus, he's a musician beyond that with the all the other instruments he plays. So it's just it's that's what drew me there.
That's beautiful. And um, what would you say so far have been your biggest gains from the mentorship?
In so far as learning, sight reading has come a long way. It's not quite all the way there. I couldn't put up a sheet of music and play it. I have to play with it a little bit. What really helped me was, you said early on, slow down to speed up.
Yeah.
And I never quite got that. There's a Journey song, "Don't Stop Believing,"
Yeah.
and I started to pick that up, and there's a lot going on between the bass line and
Complex song.
oh, absolutely. So I started to like really hammer it out. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. But slowing it down has actually gotten me to a place now where I'm working on the solo and uh and getting that down. So it's just slow down, speed up. And the way the class is structured, it really helps you kind of understand. I love the way you just break it down from the traditional ways of learning and being taught to play keys and piano, to break it down to something that's simple. Just you sit there and you go, wow, why didn't somebody think of this like 100 years ago?
That's awesome. Thank you. Um, I had those same thoughts all the time when I was learning. That's why I that's why I did it. I was like, but weirdly, I went through so much confusion in my own journey. Took me a long time to before I could simplify that stuff. It was very complicated for a lot of years until it wasn't. And I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you, Rich. Um,
Oh, thank you.
before Ridley Academy, what would you say was the thing you were struggling with the most on piano?
Improvisation.
Mm,
Um, Learning how to improvise over a chord to what works and what doesn't work. I would sit down and try to do. I still haven't developed my own style. I'm working on that. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to develop my own style.
amen.
Um, Thus the reason I did the song the way I did it. The other for the we'll talk about that, I'm sure. Um,
Yes.
the struggles before was, yeah, being able to improvise and being able to hear chords and sevens and nines are cool. They were never my thing, but okay, to throw a seventh and a nine in there, that's cool. Sustain, well, that's neat too. So just the ability to play with different chords and just put your hand down and hear it and go, wow, what is that I'm playing, right? Because you've done it all the time on calls. That's just and that's how I pick up different things. And I look at it and I go, well, that could be no, it could be this. I'm not sure, but so I figure it out.
That's awesome. And then how has it helped with that? Have you seen any improvement in your improvising and in that?
I have. I can hear the improvisation now as I sit down and I play a song or I listen to a song or in my head's always got music going. As I hear a song, I can hear, that would work in there. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
working on things like that. I wrote my own song, I think was my introduction video or something along the lines,
Yeah,
for the mentorship that I'm still working on. I was going to do it for the last challenge and it's not perfect yet.
dude, I love it. That's brilliant to hear. I want to say one thing, by the way. There's going to be a challenge coming up on songwriting. Just going to tell you that as a secret thing for you to know. But I'm going to be doing a whole thing on writing your own song. And
So cool.
yeah, and one thing on that, by the way, with the perfection thing, I just wanted to say something because I go through that a lot myself, also. But there's nothing wrong with that because the way that the mentorship is designed and my whole idea with this is, let's say we go into these different challenges I'm not gonna, this isn't you, but let's say there's an individual and their rhythm's not that good, or their, let's say the rhythm's not that good, the timing's all out. Okay, but they managed this time to get the notes right and the pedal was better and the expression was coming along. Um, and then they submit that, and that's better than the last one. And you go, okay, that's good, nice. We can see some progress. But the idea is not then to drop that song and then roll on to the next thing. It's that as those technical skills come up, you've now got these in your repertoire. And let's say when this person has a breakthrough in timing, they can now go through that repertoire and pull in the timing on each of these pieces. And so you're building one challenge at a time, one song at a time, this repertoire of songs which you kind of learn a skill by doing this one, and then, oh, I can put that into this one, and then so forth and so on. And like you were just saying there with chords, it's an amazing example. You could take a song, right? It's just four chords,
Mhm.
and you start doing some stuff with the chords, and it ain't four chords anymore. And
That's
and
right.
and learning that ability, it's like, oh, okay, now suddenly, we've got something really different on our hands. And so that was the idea. Let me ask you this. This might be a challenging question for you, Rich, because I know you're a perfectionist, but
Okay.
what would you say? Have you had any moments where you go, whoa, and you've kind of amazed yourself in this program?
With the program, yes. With my own playing and my own recording of things, no. But yeah, the fact that uh, I worked on scales forever, but you broke it down so easy. And in my mind, I really only need to know the major scales because if I drop it down three, there's the minor scale. As long as I just go up a little bit and I play the rest of the major scale, I'm good. So, and then going into the different modes. I knew what Dorian mode was, and I learned. I had an instructor who's also a pianist or a keyboardist up in Nashville. He and I are friends, and he showed me some things, and we were working on Riders of the Storm by the Doors. And he said, "What key is that?" I said, "Well, D." He said, "Well, no, it's not D. It's E Dorian." I said, "Well, what?" So I didn't never knew the difference, but actually being able to go through now and say, "Okay, Dorian, start on the next note up and just use all of." I mean, it's so it had. I mean, just learning the chord, learning the keys. Now, I'm not as fast as you are. I probably will never be as fast as you are, but I'm working on getting those down as well. And I personally, there are keys I don't tend to play in. I'm not looking to be in a band, although I guess maybe it would happen, or with other people. It's just myself. So I would only sing and play songs where I fit,
Right.
with the exception of improv, right? So
That's beautiful. I mean, I did see a marked change in the smoothness of your playing, which is the precursor to doing the really fast movements. I wanted to say that it was before we had this call. I was reviewing a lot of your videos from like right when you joined and then through the mentorship.
Mhm.
The smoothness of playing, which is showing a finger control. I don't know if you have the same experience of this, but from an outsider's perspective, that's a pretty marked difference. And getting the finger control is step one. To then when we add some tempo to that, then the speed's going to come, and then uh, you're probably not as far away from that as you might think. That's something that incidentally, I sent a message to Carlos before this as well, and I was like, "Well, let me ask you this: how have you enjoyed having?" So you said you came into the mentorship to have that one on one, and to be able to have somebody there to kind of check in with and ask questions and that. How has that experience been for you so far?
so it was good when I was working um on the song I did for the challenge, in September, I think it was. Um, I learned it, I played it. Actually, it wasn't the song I was gonna do, but 2 weeks before the challenge, I decided to change it just because of where my mind was. So, I heard that song, I picked it up, I'm like, "Yeah, listen, I gotta do this song." So it's a guitar, so I just translated the guitar to piano, and then it worked, and I did it, it's not a very long song, and as you said, it's not a very, technically challenging song, but it's a beautiful song. So
Yeah.
I sent it to Carlos. He's like, "Great, that's everything is great. Just sharpen it up, tighten it up, and maybe finish with a chord instead of just the flat D, or the D, low D." I said, "Oh, all right, cool." So I did that, and so Carlos is helpful going back and forth and giving ideas. I might bounce something off him, or I might play something, and he's like, "Why don't you try throwing in a?" I think the last my song I was trying to do was he threw an F sharp major in, or F sharp minor, and I did, and it just didn't sound right. So I told him I was going to leave it out. But there's just to have ideas to bounce off of. My song has to be what I want, and how I hear it in my head is how I want to translate it so everybody else hears it. And I'm still working on that. So it's just to have Carlos be able to bounce ideas off and talk to, and to sit in meetings or sit in the weekly calls. There's two a week. My work has been crazy lately, but to sit in calls with him and then you have people from, beginner and intermediate, or is it intermediate and advanced? I forget which class it is, but to have people that are at different levels and to ask questions, sometimes I'm like, whoa, stop. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. But when I was working on, like, if I'm working on a song for the challenge, so I tend not to join those because they'll throw ideas out there and then my head just goes, well, I had it almost good. Well, now I'm going to throw something else in. And it just, no, because I need to focus. I don't have a whole lot of time. I work
Right.
tons, right? So I have a little bit of time to focus on one thing at a time. So I do my warm ups, I do my stretching, I do my stand, I work on the song. And that's like, okay, I got enough time. That's an hour. Cool. Dinner time. Let's go. So,
Amazing.
but I enjoy the one on one with Carlos. Um, I enjoy the I enjoy the ability to send a video to Carlos and get his video feedback back. However, the perfectionist in me will record and go, I don't like that. Have to- "Ah, what did I do there?" Or, my OBS keeps flashing. I'm like, what the heck? So, there's little things like that.
I know this won't change anything, but you really mustn't let that stop you because those sessions with Carlos is where we want to gristle on the imperfections and
No,
want
it's
to.
not it's not me, it's the video. Well,
Right,
the
right. No,
sound wasn't
but I'm saying,
right.
but I'm saying like that it's so not the senior importance in those
Right,
things. In the
right.
performance, that's a different thing.
Sure.
Um, Now, let me ask you this: we're going to come to the challenge in a second, and for the people watching this, they won't even know what that's talking about just yet. But we'll come to that in a minute. But and maybe this will be the answer to the question. But I'm curious. Coming into this, when did you come into the mentorship? Do you remember?
I believe, last January, February 2024.
Amazing.
I think I'm like, I don't know the time wise. That's a question I have for what next, since I was like one of the guinea pigs or beginners of all this.
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that. Um, so let me ask you this: in that time then of going through this, what would you say has been your favorite part of the mentorship? What do you feel you've got the most value from and enjoyed the most?
The collaborating with not only the coach, but also the class. And the class has become like a family. We talk about things. I mean, heck, the whole academy is like a family. And if if I went back to the beginning of my one-on-one with you, I think there was 9 or 8 people in the class, and you, when we first started, I believe it was the mentor, might have been the mentorship,
Yeah,
and we all had something in common, which was funny. Even you was all, the cancer commonality. The one was an oncologist, and if you remember that call,
I do.
um, so it was the whole experience with the mentorship is like having a family. It's I get caught up with something to work and I know that the meeting's starting, and I feel bad. I'm, letting family down, but I'm also not listening and hearing the collaboration from the others and we laugh and we have a good time and Carlos goes into things and sometimes it's, sometimes a lot of times we're talking about the keys and piano, but sometimes it's just personal stuff.
Right.
Maybe a keto diet. Maybe it's, what the weather is. We've had a little bit of crazy weather and stuff going on. So it's a family. That's what I love about the mentorship, about the whole academy, is that it's a family
That's an
atmosphere.
amazing thing. That's beautiful. We that was a happy accident when it first started, and it's now something that we work really hard to preserve because um I don't really know how that happened. I feel like I've just sort of attracted very nice people. And I'm sure I'm not, is the whole world this nice? We just seem to have such lovely people and it's such a naturally caring community. I think there's also a lot of common understanding of like we're all on the same journey. Like
Right. Exactly.
and there's a common respect of like, oh, okay, you're doing this and okay. And all right, let me help you out. And I know that I'm gonna need some help next week and let me extend you this and it is a very collaborative thing, and that really happened accidentally that I'd love to take credit for it, but I don't quite know how it happened, but as soon as it happened, I became very militant about it, and there was one time there was a really snotty person, I just immediately kicked him. I was like, "Nope." Like, one bad egg. No, no, straight out,
Right. Right.
And I now work to really preserve that because I do see how valuable that is, and it's really nice to hear that from you. Um, so now I want to talk about um, one part of the mentorship, which is the challenge. And for those watching, I'm just going to briefly explain that. But um, one of the unique things about the mentorship is I do these exclusive tutorials for people who are in the mentorship, and then I set a challenge at the end of that tutorial. And the challenge is asking to put into practice whatever it is that I've gone over in that tutorial. So sometimes I'm breaking down, a slower song. Sometimes it's a simple song. Sometimes it's a more complex song. And I'll find something to really hone in on and focus on, and all with the purpose ultimately of getting people more connected to the instrument and getting the music to sound like them. I have a very common goal for everybody on mentorship, and Rich, you'll know this because you've heard me say it a million times, but I want your music to sound like you. That when you play those notes, boom, that's Rich. Boom, that's David. Boom, that's Sting. That's Adele. But that's an artist. An artist is somebody who can express their individuality through their music. And as a bit of fun, when we do these challenges, there is a winner. And everybody sends a submission, and I pick a winner, and they get this Ridley Academy Grammy. Um, and Rich was one of our esteemed winners. And I have to say, Rich, before I go into asking you questions, I just want to tell you something you might not know. But um, every time when we have all these submissions, I throw a little dinner party in my flat. I get everybody from Ridley Academy to come over. We put it on the big screen, and we back to back to back watch all the submissions. We get some pizzas going. It's really, really nice. It's like a family vibe. And again, just a family vibe. And a lot of people will often do the particular song that I'm doing in the tutorial. So let's say I'm doing Hallelujah or What a Wonderful World. That would be the song that people would go for, because the tutorial is very much centered around how I learned it, how I broke down that song, and so forth. Now,
Right.
when you did your submission, Rich, you blindsided me, and you played a song I'd never heard before. And it was so unexpected. It was this incredible lighting. You were sitting there with this like amazing silhouette, this like Rembrandt profile, spotlight in a dark room. And you just, from my perspective, I don't want to evaluate for you, but it was like, I mean, it was just so, I'm going to say it, but so fucking honest. And it had so much soul and so much like vulnerability and strength. It was just, it was masculine. It was just amazing. Now I'd never heard that song. You've now got me hooked on it. Although I only like your version, which is the funniest thing. I only like your bloody version.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love your voice on it. I love the way you played it. I loved the simple but deliberate articulation that you did on the piano. Um, it was just, it was very, very graceful, and I really loved it. And it's kind of challenging because with every one of these mentorship challenges, the quality of everybody's submissions is like going up and up and up, and
Sure.
it's I sometimes like, oh man, how am I going to pick? Like this is a bit of a pickle. But this time it was really clear, just because it was so different. And so I wanted to ask you, and again, bear in mind you're talking to people that know nothing about the mentorship here, but what
Sure.
was that experience like for you? And how did you go about that? And what did you get out of it? And can you just talk me through the journey of zero to that? Because that's pretty extraordinary.
Sure. I was I forget what the challenge was. Wonderful World, was it maybe?
It
Or
was, yeah.
it was Wonderful World. And that's kind of a happy song. It's a lovely people loving on each other. And I was like, yeah. And I started to think about it. And then I think I started that particular video, which there's going to be a different one attached here. But the one that I started with was, I'm just having a really bad week. And I went into playing that song. So I was just not anywhere happy, and I needed to find a song that kind of there had been somebody passed away, I think, a friend that from the past that had committed suicide, and just a bunch of a dog was sick and getting ready to go. So my head was just very melancholy.
Yeah.
So I had I've known Toby Keith's music for a while, and I knew that song, and it just kind of I don't listen to a lot of songs and radio because I don't have that, but while I'm working. But the song came to my mind. I'm like, that's it's simple, but it's deep. It's simple, but it's extraordinary if you just play it like a guitar. So I had to figure out. I downloaded the sheet music. I played it, and okay, I got a fingering. Okay, that's how I got to get that there. Okay, cool. I adjusted it to me, not exactly what the music was, because I didn't like some of the things and places where it went. So that was 2 weeks before the challenge was due, and I was stressing. And my wife will tell you, she was sitting in the other room, I don't countless hours on a Saturday, Sunday, where I would lock myself in here for hours. When I had it down, I could play it. Then I had to record it. And I believe it was 2 days worth of recording. First of all, it's a performance. So I'm dressed up. I've got a shirt very similar to this. I got the hat, and I walk out. I gotta get a drink. I've got my monitors in. I can't hear a word she's saying, but I'm like, I gotta get a drink, get water, get okay. Start all over. So I don't know. It was probably 18 or 20 takes before I finally said, you know what? I'm sending it. We get on the challenge, the meeting with you to talk about the winner, and you go through all these videos, and I think that's the one where Froda did the one with the drone flying around, and I'm like, man, there's no way. Look at all this.
He was a dude on it. Just to give context, there was a guy who submitted a video and he'd taken a key, like it got, people really put the best foot forward on this. So a guy in Norway called Frode, um, had gone to the top of a mountain and got all these drone shots, playing a keyboard on top of this mountain, like nuts. Like, um, that's what I'm saying. That was hard for me, dude. That was hard. And so now I'm doing a Zoom call with everybody, and now I've got the hard job of picking a winner. Okay, Rich, go on.
No, so you've got it all going, and that day I had it on my speakers in my studio office here, and my wife was on the couch with our sick dog, and she's listening, listening, listening. She heard all of the different things, and she heard the things that you were saying, and she knew. She said, You're gonna win." And I was like, "No way." But when you called me, called my name, showed the video, man, it was so humbling to get the first of all, the accolades for doing what I did. Secondly, it was more humbling to actually receive it and to hang it on my wall.
Have you
Um,
got it there?
I do. I
Look at
do. I
this.
don't know how it's gonna work on the camera, but
Look at that.
yeah.
I love the size of it. That's just look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously took a while to get together and get here, but
Yeah.
and that's
They're all
I was like,
custom made.
nobody touch it.
That's amazing. So that journey, I guess, of had you ever had that before where you've sat there and gone into that level of professionalism on a song?
Not from an emotional standpoint. To try to sit down and I find it easier to play, and you're going to agree with this, I know, because you say it all the time. I find it easier to play like me, not like somebody else, right? So if I sit down and learn a song, there's certain signatures in a song if you're going to play it that have to kind of be there. But the rest of it is just there's no sense in using what somebody else did. That's no fun. Plus, it's actually harder to learn than if you do it yourself.
Right.
You make it up and go along, then you're like, I know what I did.
That's amazing. And so um I guess this would lead me to my next question is so you've been on mentorship now for let's say a year. Um and so how has your playing changed over that year? And how like what and be both your playing and your relationship with music, like when you look now? How do you feel about it?
My playing is definitely, definitely getting better, smoother, as you said. Um, Being able to find, I used to think I had to, and I also think I have to, oh, I always had to roll the keys, but no, I can actually pick it up and move my hand. I was like, how the heck am I going to reach up there? But just learning the different fingering, to playing, to learning a key, it's so important. That's like the base of everything. If you're playing in the key of D, to know what the notes are, so that when you just quick glance down, you're like, nope, I'm not supposed to hit that one. I'm gonna hit that one, right? So it's just it's gotten me. I'm not there all the way. I will be the first to admit it, but it's gotten me to the next step and next level where I'm more confident. The whole reason I joined was to be more confident so that I can put together a series of songs, a set, to a couple sets, and go out and play for people. I love to perform. I love to be on a microphone. I love to make people smile. I love to get inside their heads and their hearts and just make them react. So that's where it's helped me get closer. Again, I'm not there yet. I keep putting this June timeline every year, and I'm like, okay, this June, okay, next June, but I'll get there.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Rich, there's a challenge coming, and that's gonna test you. And it's probably gonna come right around June time as well. So
Okay. All
it's
right.
gonna be this June. That's all I'm telling you. It's gonna be this June. And I wouldn't have a worry in the world. There is I did an interview today. I was receiving an interview. I'm giving one now. I was receiving an interview from this lovely, extremely British lady who came over, and she's like, "So, what is it?" She was talking about a music teacher, students, this kind of terminology, and I was like, "I don't. That ain't it. You just don't get it. It ain't that.
Right.
It's I'm an artist. It's just this particular work of art is making other artists, and these are already artists. You don't get it. Like, what is an artist? It's someone who works on the craft. It's what's a musician? It's somebody who musicians. They sit down, they do the work. That's what a musician is. And the
Right.
end result of that isn't a music student. A music student's this kind of parroting person that sits there rabbiting off whatever they've been told to do and memorizing this. It's very theoretical and in the mind. And I played her a few videos. I was like, "You need to watch. Like, look at this." And she's like, oh, these are students?" I'm like, "No, you don't get it. They're not students." The whole damn point. These are artists. And she's like, "Yeah." And I played your video. I've interviewed 4 people from the mentorship today, and I played all the videos because we've got them loaded up. All have won the challenge. So all of these winning videos.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Wow, that's." I'm only giving you that feedback, by the way, because that's a complete stranger. You're saying, like, you wanna be at a certain level before you go out. I'm telling you, you gotta get into that, and, because it does look, it makes the world a more beautiful place, and you've got already such a great gift, and, um, I wanna talk to you down the line when your questions are more along, "Okay, right, I went out to perform. This went right, this went wrong. What do I do with this? What do" like, I look forward to those conversations because I can tell that you're real close to ready for that, and so, really, I can't encourage you enough. Just, put something in the diary, make it small, like, start with something small, get a real simple set together, 3 or 4 songs, when someone else is playing, and go give them some, and, and 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 be totally willing that it absolutely flops. Who cares? You can do it again. Like, but we I've got to get you on the horse to teach you to horse ride, you know?
Right.
I
Sure.
and we got
Sure.
to see how it bucks, and we got to see what takes and what doesn't. And so there's going to be challenges that are going to come. I mean, there's one challenge that is coming that is very much centered around putting something out there into the world. Um, I'm not going to spoil the surprise of it, but irrespective for you specifically, Rich, I've now got my eye on you, and it better come in June. Otherwise, I'm gonna be calling you.
All right. All right.
All right, and then we're gonna do a live event as well, and I'd like to invite you to play on the stage with me when we do that live event. I'd really love to have you there and to have you play. Um, yeah, that'll be a pleasure, and that'll be probably a little later than June, but I'd love that. Um, okay, so I've got a few more questions for you if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have a lot of people who come to Ridley Academy and maybe they've had lessons in the past and it didn't go so well. They've had some negative experience with piano in the past, or maybe they don't think they've got time. They're busy, like you said. You work a lot. Most people do. Um, they've got some kind of self-limiting belief, or just some general skepticism. Who's this weird online guy? He's way too fucking perky for me. Um,
Mhm.
to people who are looking at this and thinking about it, what what would you say?
I looked at it and I thought about it, and then I made the decision. I will tell you that you you said the word, and it's everybody looks for self gratification, but when you try to sit down and do something that you're not familiar with, you all of a sudden start saying, "I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this," and it's very easy just to say, "I can't do this." If you join the academy and pay attention and go through class by class by class, step by step by step, slow leads to speed. Use a metronome. If you don't have one, get one so that you can get your timing down on the slower side. So all these things I've learned from watching Steve. And now people have told me in the past about this, but never broke it down as reality. I've taken piano courses. I took online with the gentleman I know up north, who when I would watch him play, we would just do like this. So okay, well, okay, wait, I don't I need to slow it down like 100 times to get close to that. But you did that, and you sometimes, to learn something, somebody needs to say it twice. So, or 3 times, and you're like, "Okay, it's set in, I get it, and I need to learn the keys, I need to slow it down." But I would say if you're thinking about it, do it. Take your time. Yes, you can play a song just with 3 or 4 chords, but if you want to learn how to play, come into the academy and just do what needs to get done. Do the work.
Beautiful, Rich. Thank you. Um, what's next for you when you look at your future as a musician? You've alluded to a couple of things already, but what are some goals that you have?
Well, I stopped making lofty goals when I was a young man, so now my lofty goals are probably a little bit less. Here in the Myrtle Beach, Surfside Beach areas, South Carolina, there are hundreds of bands that play on any given night. I mean, every other corner has a bar with a stage. Um, and music. And I happen to be friendly with people that I know who own bars or manage bars that I could actually go in, and they've already said, "Well, you're ready. Let me know. I'll give you a spot." So
Wow.
my goal is to play locally, to put together a set, the keys, backing track probably on some of the things where it needs to have a drum beat, and put together a this is actually what my father did when he was playing around northern Jersey. He was a one-man band with the MIDI discs and everything, setting everything up and hit and play and going along with playing on top of the drum loops. And so it's a lot easier today than it was back then for him. But that's my immediate goal, to get out. I would like to get together, 5, 10. Well, to do I think a 3-hour set, I probably need 20 to 30 songs 20 if I talk enough, which I can do. But 30 or 40, I guess, with a break in the middle, 30 songs. I'm just not quite sure what the amount is, but I don't want it to just be quantity. I want it to be quality. So that my next step is to get out there and actually do it. And I actually thought about, you had mentioned it before, finding somebody that's playing if they happen to set up a keyboard early, or I can ask, hey, you guys are playing, or this band is playing next Thursday, can I just set up and just play for like a half hour? Would you mind? You don't have to pay me, just let me play. and just see what happens.
100%. Where I think you do really well in the geography where you are is, if a band's got a full set that night, and let's say they're playing for 2 hours and they're gonna take a break at some point, and
Mhm.
right in the middle of that set, you can come and really switch things up. You can have a warmed up audience, and you can take it out there. The band's gonna love half an hour off to let the vocals sit and chill out for a second.
All right.
And you go in there uh, in the beginning, you don't need 30, 40 songs, like, even now, like, I was doing a show last week, real big fancy show. I took 11 songs out there, and it took an hour and 20 minutes. And,
Mhm.
because somehow when you're on stage, it all just goes slower. There's a bit of introduction, there's more clapping, there's some interaction, there's a bit of build up before you get into the songs. It's just weird. If you practice it and it takes 40 minutes, you go on stage, it's an hour 20. And, I would say if you could get a solid repertoire initially of 4 songs, and then you can go and find a couple spots to go test those out, see what lands, see what doesn't. It's always surprising what lands and what doesn't.
Mhm.
A lot of that is to do with the room as well and preparing the room. If you were gonna play a song like you submitted for the challenge, the one that you won, you need to control that environment. You gotta make sure people are paying attention before you start a song like that. Um, Now if you've got the room's attention by making how would you do that? You'd make that first song a bit more of a bang. You go, "Whoa," something that's like, "Oh, okay." Or even just walking on the stage and shouting, "Hey!" Like, but whatever you gotta do to get people paying attention,
Right.
and then when you've got that attention, you go into a song like that, you're gonna hear a pin drop. Like, and I know that because that's exactly what occurred when we were playing your video in my apartment, and, the whole room went quiet. You could have heard a pin drop, and it was just one of those moments. And we were listening to a lot of good music that night, We were spoiled, and, I'm really excited about that. I love that. That's, I think that's a great goal. I had another question, by the way, just because you mentioned that you work a lot. What is your job?
I'm a consultant for a software company that works with car dealerships.
Cool. Okay. And how have you balanced? Because I know a lot of people think that, "Oh, man, learning piano, it's gonna take so long, and I don't have time, and, I'm never gonna be able to fit this into my life. I'm a busy person." It's interesting that everybody I've talked to today is very busy people. But
Mm.
how have you fit it into your life? How does it on a practical level fit with your week to week?
I actually block off my calendar from work, and there's sometimes I have my secondary, my shorter keyboard, 73 keys, and I'll put it on the arm to my desk next to me. So if I'm waiting on a call or I'm waiting for somebody to call me or email me back, I might just work on some of the data and fingering and do that. And then my big keys and my setup is on the other side. So I kind of have an office and a studio. So
That's awesome.
turn everything on when it gets to be about that time where I'm getting ready to switch sides, shut down my phone from ringing and my emails from going off, and just take time to go through. Put on my headset or usually my headphones so nobody can hear me but me, and I go through and I play and just get a feel for what I'm doing and where I'm going. If I just take a little bit of time every day, that's all I really need. I mean, that's all I can do, but it's enough to keep me warm and going. I can't say it's all I need. I could use 8 hours a day of sitting constantly at the keys, but
Right.
that doesn't get anywhere either because then you just keep perfecting the mistakes. I need to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, it's true. Uh, and just like you said, the slower you go, the faster you move. Equally, that it's counterintuitive, but the smaller the steps, the bigger the distance traveled. It's quite
Sure.
something.
Right.
I still don't really understand how that works, but it's observably a truth which I've seen in quite a number of people now. I mean, thousands of people. Um, it's very counterintuitive, but that's interesting. I have another question for you, Rich. You, it's a personal question, but you have so much stability when you communicate. You really have a great energy about you. And if you don't want to answer this, it's completely fine because it is a personal question. But I guess my question was being in this program and getting to grips with music and going through and getting this craft in your fingers. Has this been something that you think has had I mean, let me introduce it like this. Music to me is an intensely spiritual thing. It's cleansing on a deep and a pretty profound level to me. And what is your when I listen to your music, there is just it's the same as when I listen to you speak, honestly. There is a great stability and calm, which is really nice to be on the other end of, I have to say. How has how has having music in your life helped you kind of on an emotional, spiritual level?
There's it's better now. I would say when I got the first keyboard from my father and set it all up in my basement at the last place we lived, it was frustrating and aggravating because I had these 88 things in front of me. I only have 10 fingers. How am I going to make all this work? Um, Now that I have the foundation, now that I can tune out the outside world, that I can take the stress and just either put the stress into the keys or let the keys kind of take my stress and calm me down. I don't, I can't understand, I can't explain how it happens, but if I just sit there, even if I'm just touching some keys and moving through, eventually I'll find something that sounds good, or it'll lead me to a song that I'm working on, or I know, and I'll just all of a sudden the mind changes. There's many days I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep, brain's working. So I'll come in here and put my headset on and turn everything on, make sure the speakers are down, not to wake anybody, and I just play. I might work on a song, I might just play. I work on the scales. It just doesn't matter to me as long as I can get some time, to coin a phrase, with the ebony and the ivory, right? Just even though it's probably not that on my keyboard, but
Yeah. Last night, I'll share something. Last night, a buddy came to visit me, and we were making chicken and potatoes, and then after this, we went in a sauna. We're staying in this bizarrely fancy Airbnb that we got an amazing deal on, and we're all here shooting stuff for the academy, and it's got a sauna in the garden.
Mm,
Like midnight, we went in this sauna. That was a mistake, and because it came came out of this sauna too bloody hot, and couldn't sleep. I go to bed, I just can't sleep. I'm laying there, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And I'm like, well, this is no good. And I came downstairs. The reason that we've rented this place, they have a piano here, a 200-year-old incredible grand piano.
mm,
Um, one of the most amazing pianos I've ever played. And in the other room, they've got this 1971 Kemble,
mm.
which is an upright piano. They only made them for a couple of years. Uh, I don't think either of them were expensive. They're just rare. And so we're coming here and we're recording some stuff, right? And but all day long I've been recording, right? And recording, and I can't sleep, and I'm too hot, and I know I need to sleep, so I've got to wake up really early to, we're shooting all day long, and I came down about 2 o'clock in the morning and sat down on this piano. I've been playing around with inversions a lot in the left hand and figuring out some new stuff which I can show you guys. And I don't know what happened. It was just suddenly 5 o'clock. I don't know what happened. Literally, I sort of blinked and the sun was rising.
Right.
Don't know if you ever experienced that where time I just don't know where time went. It's something quite magical, and, yeah, it brings me a lot of joy to hear what you've said today, Rich, it really does.
I'm glad. That's it's the truth. I The fact that you are where you are and you do these types of things, if people can see it and understand. I've read some bad things that people say, and it just doesn't make any sense. You obviously didn't experience it. You didn't take your time to experience what it is we all experience. Um,
Yeah,
but I appreciate you. I appreciate the one-on-one calls that we do, and the you're a genius for what you did. I mean, you've taken what you've mastered for your career and turned it into a way to give to others so that others can learn not to be you, but to learn to be themselves
Amen.
and to play for themselves.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for your time. Um, I really appreciate it. There's a new challenge by the way going out tomorrow. I just finished editing it. We all watched it earlier this morning, and it's on its way. It's Elton John, Your Song. You may or may not want to do that one. If you do it, I would love to hear your version with a nice bass tone. No one sang,
Uh,
as far as I know, no one sang that song with like a deep.
no, everybody tries to get up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, be real interesting to hear like the South Carolina version of that because you could give that some. And anyway, just putting that out there because I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your honesty and for being here. I really appreciate it, and it's really a privilege to be part of your life, and thank you for being part of mine. Really
It's my pleasure.
super, lovely, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
See ya.
Don't let the old man in. I wanna live me some more. Can't leave it up to him. He's knocking at my door. I knew all of my life someday this would end. Get up and go outside. Don't let the old man in. Many moons I have lived. My body's weathered and worn. Ask yourself how you would be if you didn't know the day you were born. Try to love on your wife. Stay close to your friends. Toast each sundown with wine. Don't let the old man in. Many moons I have lived. My body's weathered and worn. Ask yourself how old you would be if you didn't know the day you were born. When he rides up on his horse, you feel that cold, bitter wind. Look out your window and smile. Don't let the old man in. Look out your window